online course material. Okay, so a bunch of videos. You're going to get a book before you leave here, and I'll explain a little bit more about that probably on Monday. But I'm going to show the first video. The reason I'm showing it right now is because I want Bob's perspective. He gives a certain, he explains things in a certain way that's really valuable, and then I'm going to explain things in a different way. All right? So we're going to hit on goals now. For the entire afternoon, we're going to talk about goals. We're going to talk about them in a unique set of ways than probably you typically come across them. Both because Bob hits it in a unique way, and because I think that I do it in a different way as well. So what my hope is that when you get exposure to all these different ways of thinking about goals, that you find something that fits you perfectly. Okay? Now, there is a system that I'm going to teach you to work through your goal, and I'm going to explain what happens with the brain and stuff as well in that. But the idea right now is just to get different perspectives on this stuff, and then we'll get into it, okay? So I'm going to show this video. It's not very long, and then we'll review it after.
That's not about Proctor.
Doesn't look fun, does it?
That's Kaylee Proctor.
Sound isn't coming through. Is there usually a different HDMI mic to cover everything, right?
Yeah, should. Is there a stereo or something that's turned off or something?
Oh, that high tech. Plug and play.
What was that? I'm going to turn my device off fully too.
Where are your speakers, Ken?
Hello, I'm Sandy Gallagher,
It's okay.
CEO of Life Success Corporate, and your partner on this journey, thinking into results. When I first met Bob Proctor, I was already a successful business attorney, and I thought my life couldn't get much better, but it did. My life has expanded dramatically. I've learned a lot from Bob since we first met. He got me to shift my thinking and see the relationship of my mind to my behavior and my results. Bob Proctor is widely considered one of the greatest teachers in the world on the topic of human potential and growth. He's worked with many of the top companies around the world, from banks to airlines to insurance companies to computer giants like IBM. Working with Bob generates phenomenal results. One of the most valuable concepts that Bob taught me is the importance of setting goals. Not just any goal, not a goal you know how to achieve. I'm talking about a goal, a dream, a vision, something you think, something you know, in fact, is beyond your experience today. Because the true purpose of a goal is to help you grow in your awareness of yourself and of your team. What are your dreams? What are your aspirations? What are your goals? Let's see how you can begin thinking in a new and powerful way and begin discovering your true purpose in life. Are you ready?
The lesson that we're going to do right now could have a greater impact on your life than anything else. It certainly did on mine. You receive a little goal card. This is where you sit down and write out what you want on a card. And then you carry it loose in your purse or your pocket. Now on one side we've got here, change is inevitable. But personal growth is a choice, and it is. Do you know that you could wander up and down the streets of any city, anywhere in the world, and ask one person after another, what is their goal? And they'll look at you, and odds are pretty good they'll say, what do you mean? Yet, if by chance you find someone that has a clearly defined goal, ask if they've got it in writing. And again, odds are pretty good they won't. If you decide what you want, and you write it on the card, and you carry it with you, I guarantee you it must happen. It absolutely must happen in your life. Now, why do we have goals? See, the average individual would say we have a goal to get more. You know, get a better house, get a bigger house, get a boat, get more money. Now, that may be a result of the goal. You may, accumulate more in your life and nicer and better things. But the real purpose of the goal is to grow. It causes you to draw something out of yourself that you didn't even know was there. Now, when we set a goal, we're going after something we want. And if you know how to reach it, it's the wrong goal. Now, that probably sounds pretty silly. When you set a goal, you're going after something you want. And if you know how to reach it, it's probably the wrong goal. You're going sideways. I always mention that goals fall into three categories. I refer to it as A, B, and C. A-type goals are doing something you already know how to do. And I use an example in a program that I wrote about a young man that came to me and he asked me if I talked to him about his goal. And I said, sure, what's your goal? He said, I want to get a new car. And I said, well, that's okay. I said, what kind of a car do you want? He said, a new Pontiac. I said, well, Pontiac's a nice car. I've had a Pontiac. And I said, what are you driving now? And he said, a Pontiac. Really? I said, how long have you had it? He said, 4 years. I said, how old's the Pontiac? He said, 4 years old. And I said, then what you're telling me is that you have had a new Pontiac that you bought 4 years ago. You bought it new. He said, that's right. And I said, that's not a good goal. Because you've known for 4 years how to do that. There's going to be no growth attached to it. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't get a new Pontiac, but it would not constitute a goal. A goal is something that you're going to go after you've never done before. Now, when people move away from A-type goals, they generally go to B-type goals. And that's where they sit down and they gather all the information they've got, all the resources they've got, and they say, if all these things happen, then I could accomplish this. And they make a plan. They've got an absolutely beautiful plan. They've got the plan, and if all these things happen, then I can accomplish this. This is what they think they can do. You see, the A-type is what they know they can do. B is what they think they can do. Now, do you know that there's no inspiration in going after something like that? Absolutely none. And if you're going to really accomplish something, you're going to have to be inspired. You're going to have to pull on something that you haven't pulled on before. I mean, it's going to have to come from inside. See, people go after B-type goals, they get going, and they get bored, they're not inspired, and so they quit, they give up. Now, the C-type goal is wants. And what you want, I'm talking about what you really want. Most people say, I don't know what I want. I don't believe that. I think you do know what you want. I think you're rejecting it before you give it any serious thought. To decide what you want, you've got to sit down and totally relax. And then you have to let your imagination wander. When you're going after wants, you're dealing with fantasy. See, the one, you're going after what you know. The other one, you're going after what you think you can do. And the wants is fantasy. Now, we have been conditioned as kids that fantasy is just for little kids. You don't fantasize. You've got to know how things are going to happen. But you see, you and I are the only creature on the planet, so far as we know, that can fantasize. If Hillary fantasized that he would stand on top of the world and he climbed Mount Everest, the Wright brothers, a couple of ordinary bicycle mechanics, they fantasized they'd introduce us to a new kingdom, and they did. Now think of this for a moment. What do you fantasize? See, as a little kid, you could fantasize, and your mother and dad like to do that because it got you up under their feet. You'd sit down in front of the kitchen cupboards with pots and pans, and God knows only what you did with it. But then you went to school. Bob, pay attention. You see, your mind's wandering. Will you quit looking out the window and listen to what I'm telling you? And you see, we get punished, and pretty soon we stop fantasizing. We put our imagination away, and we stop using it. You know, Napoleon Hill said the imagination is the most marvelous, miraculous, inconceivably powerful force the world has ever known. Don't you find it strange that we have great, huge companies, big multinationals with small creative departments? We have people wandering around saying, well, I'm not really creative. Writers are creative, musicians are, but I'm really not creative. Everyone is creative. Creativity comes from the root creator, which is within. Everybody's creative. It's a matter, are you expressing your creativity? Well, don't let people steal your dream. When you sit down and decide what you want, you won't know how you're going to get it. The fun is in finding out how you're going to do it. set a goal, if it doesn't sort of scare me, I know I'm on the wrong track. See, if you know how you do it, you're going to go sideways. You've got to build a fantasy. You take the fantasy and you move it from fantasy to a theory. You keep playing with it. And you go from fantasy to a theory, and you take and you build an image, and just follow the pyramid that we've got here for you, and you turn it into a theory. Now that is when we're giving our fantasy some serious consideration. We're starting to use our reasoning mind, and we're starting to give this some serious thought. Now before we can turn the theory into a goal, we have to ask ourselves a couple of things. Am I able to do this? Am I able? Well, if we believe everything we've been taught by both science and theology, the only two sources of reference we have to go to, we have deep reservoirs of talent. We have infinite potential. Absolutely, I'm able. I don't know how, but I'm able. The second question we have to ask, am I willing? Am I willing to pay the price? Am I willing to do what I have to do to get to where I'm going? See, Ed Hillary had to go to Nepal in 1951, in 1952, and 1953. No one had ever been to the top of Mount Everest. Everyone in the world told him it couldn't be done. Anybody that tried died. But he kept going back. He was willing to do whatever was required, and he got to the top of that mountain. Have you any idea how those two young bicycle mechanics, the Wright brothers, were ridiculed? Told to quit wasting time? Have you any idea how many times people laughed at Edison when he said what he was going to do? He was going to make this incandescent light. You know, he failed about 10,000 times. He was willing to do that. See, failing at something doesn't make you a failure. You're only a failure when you stop. You could ask, am I able to do this? Yeah, I'm able. Am I willing? Yeah, I'm willing. I am willing to pay the price. At that second, your theory turns into a goal. Now, as you get emotionally involved in the goal, you're going to find that your emotional involvement is going to change your behavior. Yet you're going to find as your behavior changes, the results start to change. And your theory turns into a fact. And once you reach the goal, it turns into a fact. That puts you in a position to build bigger and better fantasies. Now, let's back up a bit. How do you decide what you want? See, that's a pretty big idea. You've got to sit down as an individual and start writing all your wants down. Make a shopping list. See, I think there's two goals people should have. They should have a personal goal, and then they should have a corporate goal. You might want to sit down with your peers in your department and say, what could we accomplish in this department? It could be the sales department. It might be as a group, collectively, take the sales to a point that would shock the executives in the company. It could be in the machine shop. Let's make this place the most effective machine shop in the world. It could be in the accounting department. Let's make sure everything's right on tap. They're goals. And as we work towards them, we unify our energies. We work together, but we're working towards a point. See, when people are working towards something, they're alive. If they're just working, they don't have any fun. So we've got to sit down and we've got to decide, what do I really want? And start to make a list. You're capable of doing anything. And what we're really doing is raising our level of conscious awareness. And you're going to find when you decide on the thing on the list that you want more than anything, that becomes the star you're shooting at. That's what's written on the card. That becomes the goal. It might be an income, it might be a position, it might be a new home, it might be a trip. That becomes the goal. Yet, that's what you work towards. And you're forever trying to become more effective, so you raise your consciousness and you become aware of how to do it. It's the same in a department. We have a masterminding session, a brainstorming session. How can we make this department more effective than it is? Now, you're going to find possibly someone who say, well, I'm not doing that. Well, then that's okay. They're not part of the group. Don't let another person dictate how you're going to live. Don't let conditions or circumstance dictate. It has nothing to do with what's going on outside of it. It's what's going on inside. George Bernard Shaw said that people are always blaming circumstance for where they are. He said, I don't believe in circumstance. The people who get on in this world are the people who get up and look for the circumstances they want, and if they can't find them, they make them. So you absolutely refuse to let anything that's going on outside stop you. You know, there's a cute story about the Maharaji and yoga when he was taking his transcendental meditation to the world, or planning to. Someone asked him, "Well, where's all the money going to come from?" He said, "Wherever it is right now." See, nothing's created or destroyed. If nothing's created or destroyed, everything's already here, if not in one state or another. The way to fly airplanes has always been here. Internet, it's always been here. We just weren't aware of how to do it. And as we raise our conscious awareness, we've got it. Nothing is created or destroyed. All science and all theology have taught us that for years. Now, when we really start to understand that, we live in an ocean of motion. We're living in a constant evolution of change. But remember what I said, personal growth is a choice. You've got to have a goal. You've got to wake up in the morning and get excited. I'm working towards my goal. That's what I'm doing right now, is I'm creating this program with you. I'm working towards a goal. I have a business partner, Sandy Gallagher. She wants to build this worldwide, the corporate division. And so that's what we're doing. That's what we're working towards. That's why we're spending time here right now, building this program. So help you. See, the only way to reach the goal is to provide greater service. And as you provide greater service, you're going to grow. You're going to move ahead. Things inside of you are going to start to happen. An individual who doesn't have a goal is lost. They don't know where they're going. Can you imagine going on a trip and you don't know where you're going? Somebody say, "Well, where are you going to go?" "I don't know." "West." "Where?" I mean, you could be going around the world, just going around the world, but where are you going? "I'm going west." But when you get there, you still can go west. Imagine driving out of your driveway, you've got no destination. Which way would you turn? You see, we're goal-seeking organisms. Have you ever watched Little Baby? The baby's goal is to walk. It falls, it bangs its head, it cries, it bleeds, but it doesn't stay down. It gets up and it gets going. And pretty soon, it's, "Look, Mom, I'm walking." Then they get on a bike. And the trick is to balance it, learn how to ride. Pretty soon it's, "Look, Mom, no hands." But you know what your goal is? Your goal, your real purpose in life is to grow. You want to sit down and ask yourself, what do you really love to do? That's what you're going to get good at. That's what your purpose is going to be all about. That's what your goal is all about. Move toward what you want. Have a personal goal, have a corporate goal. Now your personal goal and your corporate goal in your department should be consistent with the corporate goal that the executive team set. So you want to make sure, as you go towards the big one, that all your little ones will fall into place. And I guarantee that you'll set something on fire inside of you that there's nothing like it. Goal achievers are productive individuals. They're happy, they're productive, they're prosperous. They're the ones that make the world change. Don't listen to people that tell you why something can't be done. Don't listen to people that tell you the economy is controlling them. You control the economy. You're God's highest form of creation. Steve Bug, who was a vice president with the Metropolitan Life Insurance Company, said one time something that I have never forgotten. He said, "God's gift to us is more talent and ability than we'll ever hope to use in our lifetime. Our gift to God is to develop as much of that talent and ability as we can in this life." I like that. You might want to take and memorize that. It's done me a lot of good. Now I've shared it with you. Set your goal. Get it on your card. Bury it in your mind. Tell yourself, "I'm able and I'm willing," and then go and do it. Stop Proctor. Thank you.
I'd like to congratulate you on taking this first step towards thinking into results. Now that you know a lot more about setting goals, the right kind of goals, what do you do next? You take action, because that's where the learning really begins. Without action, goals are just fantasies. So sit down with your coworkers, take some time and ask them, if we had all the resources we needed and there were no limitations or restrictions, what would we want to accomplish together as a department? It's really a great opportunity to collaborate and be creative, because everyone wins by coming together for a common goal, and everyone soars when those common goals are big, worthy goals. So good luck, and I'll see you at the next lesson.
So that's lesson number 1. the video lesson number 1. Now, again, there's going to be a workbook and a lot to do in there. But one thing we want to do this weekend is get you started, because if you don't have goals taken care of entering this year, if you don't have goals really taken care of, this year's going to be miserable. It's going to be frustrating. If you have goals fully taken care of, if you put in the effort and time you need beforehand, this is going to be an amazing ride. So, I'm going to go to my notes here. Put this down just in case. Let's review just that lesson really quickly. What's the purpose of a goal?
Grow.
To grow. Right? And Andrew and Brad, you're allowed to answer anything, okay? They've been through this program a number of times. So the purpose of a goal is to grow. That's a different way than most people think about goals. What is the way most people think about goals? What's the purpose of a goal?
Accumulate.
Accumulate. Get. Right? The purpose of a goal is to grow. This is going to be a weird concept for a lot of people. He asked 2 questions. Is your goal clearly defined, and is it in writing? So I talk about goals almost every day with people. It's one thing that I do almost every day. Absolutely with new clients, through the sales process, through other things, I'm always talking about goals with people. And what I've found is that when I ask people, do you have goals? They say yes. Then I say, what are they? And they fumble. Most people who believe they have goals do not have goals. They have ideas of what they would like, but they don't have goals. And it's a huge difference. I'll give you an example. My mother-in-law. I was in Maui in December. My mother-in-law always talks about Hawaii. Always talks about Hawaii. She loves Hawaii. She wants to live in Hawaii. That's all she talks about half the time I'm with her, okay? She goes there all the time. Not all the time. She goes there at least once a year. We're on the lanai, outside of this condo. Her and I are up early. And I think this is a great time to connect with this woman who I like. And so I go out there and I say, so Mom, when are you going to move out here? And she said, oh, Mark, that's just a dream. I went, oh no. This is just a dream for my mother-in-law. It's just this pipe dream, this fantasy. It's just a dream. And there was this sadness in my heart going, Mom, there's no reason, what's stopping you? If this is something you truly want, then make it a goal. It's never been your goal. That's why you're not here. Once you make it a goal, you start working towards it and you grow into it. It needs to be clearly defined. So I want you to you start with wants, and he talks about wants. You start with wants, and we're going to do that some today. But after you go through your wants, you've got to get to clear definition of what it is. And then we got to write it down. We have to have it written down so that we could see it and other people could see it. Because if it's clear enough, there's a typical phrases on teaching are, if you aren't able to explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it yourself. In the same vein, if you don't have it written down in such a way that somebody else can pick it up and understand exactly what it's about, then it's not clear for you either. All right? So it needs to be clearly defined for you. And this is a process. We're going to take some time on this. Want versus need. I'm going to talk about this a little bit later today too. There's an article that I love. And in it they talk about wants versus needs. If you focus on your needs in a goal, it's not a good goal. Because you will always be willing to lower your standard of living to meet your needs, if those are your goals. If you focus on your wants, it will raise your standard of living. They're very, very different. If you focus on your needs, your standard of living will maintain kind of status quo, be maintained. But if you focus on your wants, now you have a chance to actually grow. And that's why he's talking about wants versus needs. So you focus on what you want. This is just a comment that I want to make. So when does how enter the picture? Well, how am I going to? But how am I going to? Doesn't matter how you're going to do it. I'm going to be absolutely honest with you. It doesn't matter how you're going to do it. Most likely, what you're thinking is going to help you towards your goals right now is wrong. Most likely, it's going to be a different track, a different how. So forget about the how. Hows just bog people down in logic, and our logic is governed by our culture, not by what's possible. So in 1903, early 1903, if you would have asked people around the planet, is flying possible? Is it possible for a human to fly? That would have been absolutely illogical. A few months later, when the Wright brothers did it, anyone who would have witnessed that event would have said, yeah, it can happen, based on my experience. So do not get bogged down in logic, okay? You were focusing on wants, on desires. We're not focusing on how. As soon as you start focusing on how, at this point, there's another point where we're going to focus on how. At this point, how just gets in the way. The role of circumstance. Do not base your goals on your current circumstances. Just like you don't base decisions on your circumstances. Okay? Circumstances are, again, the how. I don't see it right now. That's fine. That's fine if you don't see it right now. That's why it's a C-type goal, right? So let's get into that. What's the difference between an A, B, and C-type goal? What's an A-type goal?
You can do it.
You've already done it, right? That Pontiac, there's no stretching growing at all, right? What about B?
It's achievable
It's achievable.
within grasp or
Yeah.
difficult to get.
So strong 5 to 10% growth in my company,
Yeah.
right? Or whatever. That's achievable. If you have the hows in place and you know how to get there, it's not a C-type goal. It's a B-type goal. If you already know how. Even if you haven't done it before, if you kind of know how to do it, not working. What's a C-type goal?
Something you never done before or don't know how to achieve yet.
You have no clue. You have no clue currently. What else?
It's a fantasy.
It's a fantasy.
Scares you.
Yes, it scares you. So this is a goal. I got so many conversations with you about this, Brad. When I talk to my clients, I say to them, when they come up with their goal, I say, okay, this is a great goal. How do you feel, be honest with me, how do you feel when you think about your goal? What's the most common response I get? Scared. Terrified. I'm scared. Sometimes there's like frustrated, sad, I'm ashamed, I feel guilt. But most often, it's terrified. I'm scared. Why do you think people are scared when they think about their goals?
Scared that they won't reach it.
Yeah. Am I enough?
Scared of defining their failure.
Yeah. They're focusing on their failures. They're focusing on whether I'm going to be enough. I don't trust myself. It comes back to self-image again. What else? This is really good stuff. This is really important to understand, okay?
Could be possibly some guilt involved too, that you don't deserve that or whatever. you know?
Yeah. You've learned somewhere along the way that you don't deserve good things. Okay. Emotions with goals. I'm going to wait with emotions on goals, okay? Because I'm going to cover that and kind of brain stuff a little bit. He asked 2 questions. What are the 2 questions you're supposed to ask? Am I able and am I willing? These are 2 really important questions. There's a lot of research actually just based on the kind of questions you ask yourself and whether you accomplish things. If you make a commitment today and say, I will do this, do you know that you're less likely to do it? If you ask yourself, would I be able to? Is it a possibility that I could do this? do you know that you're more likely, typically, you're more likely to get it done? For some reason, and I don't fully understand this, I'm researching this on my own a little bit. For some reason in the human brain, when we ask ourselves questions and just open the possibility, we're willing to enter into it. But when we say, no, this is happening, then we think about all the problems and shut down. This is my opinion on this. Again, I'm still figuring this out. My opinion is that if it's small enough, we're willing to take a step. And the possibility that like, could I do this? Am I willing today? Is it possible today to take this next step? That we go, oh yeah, I could probably see myself in that. And so we take one more step. Whereas when we see the end and we see all the problems, we shut down. Does that make sense at all?
There's a really awesome passage in Psycho-Cybernetics that is exactly
Mhm.
what you're talking about. I don't know if you know the passage, it's probably right near the end of the book. But I transcribed it and put it on my phone and I read it regularly about just this, like, and I made a note of it because it was so applicable for where I was. Like taking little bites and instead of trying to picture myself doing exactly what I wanted to do, it's like, well, it is possible. There's a possibility that I could get there and start to imagine, okay, well, I could do one little thing here and that's helped a lot to get going.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put
Yeah.
a plug for Psycho-Cybernetics.
And a plug for all this kind of personal development stuff, because it's all ties in. But asking yourself those questions, if you've got a conversation you want to enter and you go, well, could I do this? Do I have the ability? When you ask yourself those questions, you automatically go to, well, this could solve this problem, and this could solve this problem, and this could solve this problem. Your mind automatically, your subconscious mind, automatically starts looking for solutions. When you say, I'm going to do this, you typically look at problems. Okay? You're getting cultural training in many ways. Okay, and then he talked about turning a fantasy. You start with a fantasy, C-type goal, and as you think about it, it becomes a theory. And as you think about it more, it becomes a fact. So this is the process of this year. The process of this year is we are going to start with fantasies. And as we start with fantasies, we have no idea how. Okay? How? No clue. As you put it into your subconscious mind, as you plant this idea over and over and over and over, and I'll give you methods to do this. As you do this over and over and over again, what will start to happen is your subconscious mind will start to believe that it's possible. And it will become a theory. Now, as soon as your subconscious mind believes it's possible, we always act on our beliefs. So once your subconscious mind believes it's possible, the next step is it will start giving you ideas on how. That's when the how is valuable. When you actually believe it's possible, and now you're listening to your subconscious mind, ideas will start coming to you. Have you ever been in a store, a market, wherever, and there's almost like a voice. It's not like a God-type voice with lights or anything, but like there's almost a voice like, go talk to that person. And it's kind of like out of the blue. It doesn't really make sense. Have you ever had that come to you?
You keep telling me to go clean up at aisle 12.
Well, that's a different voice. Have you ever had that situation happen to you? So a couple of you have, maybe not a lot of you. That's your subconscious mind. That's your intuition. Now, the problem with most people's intuition, with most people's subconscious minds, is that it's so influenced by our culture, by what other people tell us to want, that our gut feeling tells us, yes, I want that burger. Or I want the new shoes, or I want whatever it is, okay? Not good or bad things, it's just that that's our influence. What we need to do first is not focus on the how. We need to focus on the fantasy, because as we focus on the fantasy, and that's in our subconscious mind, we're now influencing us the way we want to be influenced. And the answers that we get from our subconscious mind are going to be in alignment now with what we actually want. And then we can actually start listening to our subconscious mind and get good answers. I'm going to explain that so much more fully at another time, okay? I'm just planting seeds right now in many ways. And then as you actually start to take action on those things, you start realizing what you want. You start realizing goals. And I know each one of you in this room have realized certain amounts of goals in your life at certain times. I know that, because I've spoken with each one of you, and I know at least enough of each one of your stories to know that you've accomplished certain things and reached certain goals that you didn't think were possible at one point, okay? One advantage of goals that people don't really talk about is how easy they make decisions. So Bob kind of talked about this as like, well, what direction are you going? I'm going west. You just keep going west, 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 right? Or which direction you go out of the house, you right or left. Do you know that making that choice, if somebody didn't know where they were going in the morning, driving out of your driveway would be an extremely stressful situation. Because you have no idea whether right or left is the right choice, right? As soon as you have a goal, you now have decisions to make, and they're very easy to make. Am I going to the grocery market, or am I going to a basketball game? Well, if it's a grocery market, I go right, and if it's a basketball game, I go left. It's easy now. The clearer you are on your goals, the easier decisions will start to become in your life. You will start to see, oh, wait a second, that used to be such a hard decision, but now I can ask myself, does it go towards my goal or not? Oh, it moves towards my goal? Great. Let's do it. Oh, it doesn't move towards my goal? No. That's one reason you made this decision here. Is it moving me in the direction that I want to go? Yes? Then I'm going to come. For some of you, that was an easy decision. For some of you, it was a difficult decision. That's okay. One thing that he said that I love, and he said, everything exists right now. Nothing is created or destroyed. The ability to fly in a plane has already always existed on this planet. It's existed for hundreds of thousands of years. Well, depending on how you consider human evolution and brain development. But the possibility, the raw materials needed to make a plane, the